Welcome to Voodoo Whiskey Gaming, and this is my late review of the MediEvil Short-Lived Demo. I played it on the PS4 because, you know, PS4 exclusivity and all that. I'll start out with what little story there is. You basically get the backstory to the game, which you are playing as Dan Fortesque, who was a great hero of a battle against the, you know, big evil guy, and he's come back from the dead, and he's basically turning an entire village and eventually the entire kingdom into his undead minions. He's brainwashing the villagers, he's bringing back people from the graveyard, and unfortunately for him, his spell raises you from the dead as well, and now you start the game at that point. So let's get into the audio. First off, the audio I think was good in this game. It's been redone, obviously, from the original, since the original was PlayStation 1. The sound effects are still good and cartoony and cheesy, and they work with the style of the game. The music is actually still really well done. I was impressed at how well that kind of music has held up. Obviously, it's been kind of redone for the new game as well. And then there's the voiceover work, which has been redone as well. I'm fairly certain it's been redone. But it was good, and it worked with the game. It worked with the kind of goofier, sillier, cartoonier game that this is. As for the gameplay mechanics, this is a third-person action-adventure game, but it's definitely a much more old-school one. They have fortunately given you better control over the camera than you had back in the PlayStation 1 era, but it's still a little bit goofy in the way that the game is done. There's a bit of melee, there's a bit of ranged combat, but it is a pretty basic game at its core. You run into an area, you whack all the enemies, you try and find your way out of the area. One of my favorite little things that they did bring back was that because Dan Fortesque is a walking skeleton, he can yank off his own arm and fight enemies with it, which I thought was fun. I really enjoyed the fact that they brought that back. I will say that this demo, though short-lived, is a great descriptor of it. It's way too short. Like, you can beat the entire demo in 10-15 minutes probably. So that was a little disappointing to run into because I really wanted to play more of this. I am excited for this game because, well, it's my childhood. Quite literally, I was a child when the original game came out, and I'm hoping that getting to replay it will be an enjoyable experience. But on to the controls. I gotta say, the controls actually work well. They've clearly had to redo the controls because ye olde controls did not work great. Because, I mean, ye olde PlayStation 1 era controls. But I didn't have any real complaints with them. Again, though, this is a demo, so we'll see how that actually holds up in the real game. Lastly, the graphics. There were a few things that looked kind of sloppy in the graphics. Specifically in the first cutscene you see, there are some areas, specifically there's kind of a grassy hill field type thing, and that did not look great. That being said, I will say that the characters, the enemies, the world itself when you're actually running around during gameplay, I think that works. It has a very cartoony vibe which fits. It's a good way of redoing the old game. They kept a cartoony vibe and I think it looks pretty good. I want to see the rest of the game, but from what I saw from the demo, I think I'll be okay with it. So to wrap this up, this demo did exactly what a demo should do, which is get me excited for the full game. I gotta admit, I'm hopefully optimistic because, like I said earlier, this is my childhood. So I'm hoping that when it's released, it will hold up well. I actually did enjoy playing this, not just from a nostalgic view. I thought it was fun to play through, so I'm hoping that they do a good job with the whole game. Okay, so in the comments below, why don't you tell me if you're a fan of the MediEvil games, if you're old enough to actually have played the original MediEvil game on the PlayStation 1. And as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, and if you like what I'm doing in general, share, subscribe. Have a good one.